Holy City Center Radio, it is episode 161, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Friday, August 18th, 2023. Happy weekend. Hope you enjoy it. All sorts of things to do. No matter if you want to stay inside, away from the heat, if there's going to be some rain or thunderstorms in the forecast, same thing if you want to stay inside or if you want to get out there. You can find all sorts of events at holycitycenter.com/events. There's also a weekend events page that you can see on the website as well. So no matter what you want to do, as far as what type of event or location in town, you can find something pretty great to do using Charleston's best events calendar. So be sure to check it out. Not much going on here. No fun stories to relay at the moment. So I guess let's just dive into the news. The city of Charleston has officially closed its application process for anyone looking to become the city's next top cop. Currently, the city has more than 30 applicants that are vying for the position. The city has decided to enlist the services of a group called the Police Executive Research Forum that's going to assist with this search. And if you may remember, this is actually the same firm that was used for the city's last two hires. During Monday's Public Safety Committee meeting, Charleston Human Resources Director Kay Cross said that 34 applicants came from 19 different states. She also mentioned that 4 of those candidates were from South Carolina, and she provided a little bit of background. Although she didn't know the entire group's makeup, she did say that at least 3 of those candidates are Black and 2 are women. So a little bit of diversity in that group of 34, not a ton, but some. And so that's always good that there are multiple applicants from different backgrounds. Of course, you may remember that the need for a new police chief comes following the death of former police chief Luther Reynolds. He died from cancer back in May. Reynolds, who was just 56 years old, had been Charleston's police chief for 5 years. Currently, Deputy Chief Cheeto Walker is serving in the role of interim chief. He was assigned to that position in July. So as far as the next steps in the process, Cross said that applicants would get narrowed down to around a dozen and then be given a series of essay questions covering topics like recruiting and retention and on and on. She said the goal was to bring the list down to 5 or 6 by mid-September, and then those candidates would go through the interview process in some subcommittees. So we're getting closer and closer to knowing who Charleston's next police chief is. Not a whole lot known about the applicants, and as I mentioned, there's 34 of them, so I'm sure we'll learn more as they whittle them down, especially when they get down to the last 5 or 6 in mid-September, assuming that goes as planned. Staying in the realm of police, we have an update on that helicopter crash that happened. You may remember the Charleston County Sheriff Department had a helicopter that crashed back on August 1st. That took place within the property of the Charleston International Airport. Caused a little bit of a stir before they officially announced what happened. There's all we knew at first there was some kind of incident. Then we found out it was a helicopter crash. Thankfully, in the end, only one person was injured, which was the pilot, and they are expected to make a full recovery. I think they were in the hospital for less than 24 hours, if I remember correctly. So thankfully, a real true disaster was averted, but they've gotten a little bit of information back thanks to some investigations that were done by the National Transportation Safety Board. And this is what they found out. Apparently, the helicopter was missing parts that could have rendered the pilot unable to steer the helicopter as it flew home from routine maintenance. The pilot tried for an emergency landing around 3:30 p.m. back again on August 1st, and after he could not stabilize the helicopter, he essentially just crash landed it on an airfield. Inspectors with the Federal Aviation Administration who responded to the crash site observed one of the 2 bolts that secure the levers that move the tail rotor were both missing, while another bolt was loose because of a missing pin. The tail rotor, which are the blades at the back of the helicopter, are what stabilizes an aircraft and help it, fly straight. So, according to this preliminary report, which was released on August 14th, it was found that the bolts in question would have been removed and reinstalled when the helicopter underwent maintenance on June 28th. So now the question is, well, were they actually reinstalled, or were they not reinstalled properly, or what? There's not a for sure answer, but that is, without those bolts, or the bolts not functioning correctly, that is the most likely time that something went awry. Well, I'm sure we'll find out more, but this is what they have discovered so far. On both June 28th and August 1st, the sheriff's helicopter received maintenance at an undisclosed site in Sumter. This is according to the agency's records. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office declined to comment when this article from the Post and Courier came out, which was on August 14th. So, like I said, number one, most importantly, what could have been a really horrible incident, thankfully, did not go as bad as it could have, and the pilot is okay. And now we know what probably caused the crash, although it's not definitive, but it certainly looks that way. And now the next steps, I'm sure, are going to be to find out what exactly happened. Were they not reinstalled during maintenance? Were they broken? And, try to see who, if anyone's going to be liable in this whole scenario. But that is the latest on that helicopter crash. One of Charleston's most popular restaurants is losing their chef. That's right, Fig, the very popular restaurant in downtown Charleston, announced that the executive chef, Jason Stanhope, is leaving the James Beard award-winning downtown restaurant. This was relayed to the Post and Courier by chef and co-owner Mike Latta. He told the newspaper this on Thursday, August 17th. Stanhope, who is actually a James Beard Award winner himself, is moving on for the restaurant after 15 years to, quote, embark on a new chapter in his career, end quote. That, again, according to the co-owner and chef Mike Latta. Additional details about his future were not available, so no idea where he's going, if he's staying in the industry or anything like that. All we know is he is leaving. For those who aren't familiar with Fig or just curious now that it's back in the news, the restaurant opened all the way back in April 2003. I can't believe it's been open that long. And just 5 years later, Lotta hired Stanhope to work in the kitchen. The then 25-year-old chef had just left a Kansas City restaurant when he took the job. A timetable for his departure has also not been determined. So all we know at this point is that Chef Jason Stanhope is leaving Fig at some point. I would imagine in the somewhat near future, since they made this announcement. But to be fair, we really don't know. So we just know that is the plan at some point. If you want to get to Fig before he leaves, it is located at 232 Meeting Street and is open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. You're going to want to go ahead and set reservations as it is usually booked. But again, no set date. But yeah, sad. It's always sad when a popular restaurant chef moves on. Of course, there's a great team in place, and the chef and co-owner Mike Latta is still involved. So I wouldn't be shocked. I would be shocked rather if there was any dramatic changes to the menu. Of course, if they hire a new chef that comes in, or even hire someone within to take that position, it might be a couple different menu options, but I wouldn't expect any big changes to the restaurant despite that departure. But best of luck to Chef Stanhope. Done an amazing job with that restaurant over the last 15 years. And, of course, want him to be happy. But selfishly, I'm sure the city would love to see him still here and still working in food and bev in some capacity. So best of luck to Chef Stanhope in whatever he is planning on doing after he leaves Fig. A network of massive drainage tunnels that are located 150 feet below the ground will soon provide relief to one of Charleston's most crucial areas. That is the medical district, where the Medical University of South Carolina, the VA, and of course Roper are all currently located. Now, Roper is moving off the peninsula eventually, but they are still very much in that district right now. If somehow you don't know this, the medical district is one of the areas of downtown that floods frequently and does so in a way that is extraordinarily frustrating, especially to those who live or work in that area or have to travel through it, which are a lot, because whether you're coming from, say, West Ashley or James Island, you're getting dumped out right in that area. So it can be quite frustrating. And hopefully these tunnels, which have been planned for years and years, will actually provide some relief. So we got an update on Thursday when local and state leaders gathered to celebrate the fact that this large-scale drainage shaft and tunnel system is almost done. And the plan, of course, is once it's up and operational, it will siphon storm water from a 35-acre area surrounding the city's hospitals. And just so you are all aware, they announced that it is expected to begin operating in the next few weeks. So, how much did this cost? Well, a lot, as you would expect. The funnel, or state leaders funneled about $10 million in federal funds toward this drainage effort. They also had $5 million being matched from the city. And all this funding was covering the cost to build a 9 foot wide and a 150-foot deep drop shaft at Cannon Street, which connects to a series of drainage tunnels below the ground. Those tunnels, in turn, connect to another massive drop shaft and tunnel system at Lockwood Boulevard, which, yeah, I guess you could consider that part of the medical district, as they, it does go past it and then down towards the Joe. Uh, that also floods a lot in that area. So, in any event, that other drop shaft and tunnel system at Lockwood Boulevard, that's where that connection is between the two US 17 bridges on the Ashley River. The project, known as the Spring Fishburne Drainage Improvement Project, will have this tunnel system at Lockwood being capable of draining thousands of gallons of water using gravity alone. With the pump station, that drainage can then be speed up to about 360,000 gallons of water per minute during strong storms and hurricanes. The plan, according to officials, is that this will provide relief beyond just that hospital district that I've been mentioning, but will also help out much of the west side towards areas like Burke High School. So we already have flooding problems. We know that. Sometimes on sunny days, we have flooding downtown. And of course, when it's high tide or king tides and couple that with storms, we all know how horrible it can be down there. There's been a couple hurricanes that have skirted by the peninsula and left a lot of flooding in that area. A lot of areas are affected, of course, but that area tends to flood a lot and often. In addition to that, of course, when there are hurricanes and storms, that's one area of the city that, although may not be open, the hospitals are still functioning there. So if there's emergencies outside, of course, people have to be brought in, and people that are already in the hospital aren't transported out. That would be, of course, that would happen in very rare circumstances if the storms were expected to be extraordinarily bad. But for the most part, even if a hurricane is coming, uh, the hospitals are still functioning. Obviously, not for appointments and things, but for the patients that are in there and anybody who needs emergency assistance during storms. So it's an important part of the peninsula and it needs to be taken care of. And of course, we know, I'm going to say it, climate change. Say it quietly. Don't want to upset anybody who doesn't believe in it. But we have seen the rising waters and what that could mean to the peninsula, regardless of your feelings on climate change. I guess I should say beliefs in climate change. So these are important projects, and it's taken a long time, and it's cost a lot of money, and it better work. And if it does work, that's great. But if it's only providing, temporary relief, and it's really not the best case scenario, well, we'll know pretty quick. But by the sounds of it, this can take care of a lot of water, and hopefully get it out of that area and make it a little bit safer when there's storms, particularly really serious storms or ones that kind of hang around for a little bit. So glad to see that it's nearing completion. Hopefully, it will provide some relief, and not just some relief, but significant relief from all the flooding that can occur there again, because everywhere it's important, but very specifically in that medical district. Even if it's not a bad storm, patients can miss appointments or be late for them. Employees can be late for work. There's all sorts of problems. So, hopefully, like I said, it'll provide significant relief for that area, and we'll continue. The city will continue with some other projects they're working to try to combat flooding, especially from storms. That'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I hope you had an awesome week leading into the great weekend that I am sure you will all have. Just a quick reminder, you can go to holycitycenter.com/events if you're looking for something to do, whether it's tonight, Saturday, Sunday, or beyond the weekend. Not everybody works weekends and not everybody stays home on weeknights. So if you like to go out on school nights, or if your weekend is during the week, that events page has things to do every single day. Does not matter. It's not always the weekend. I just happen to mention the most on Friday since most people are off. So be sure to check that out, whether it's for the weekend or any other day. You should also check out holycitycenter.com/shop, where you can pick up some merchandise, hats, t-shirts, koozies, matches, bottle openers, all sorts of silly things that you can pick up. All that goes right back to Holy City Center to make whether it's the podcast, the website, and anything else just a little bit better for you. You can also support the website and podcast by going to patreon.com/Holy City Center, where you can sign up for one of those support tiers. You can also help by subscribing to the podcast, which makes sure that you don't miss any episodes, but also helps get other people interested in the podcast. The more subscribers there are, the more ratings and reviews that there are, the more likely it's to be promoted in people's algorithms or get promoted by whichever podcast platform that you were listening to this on right now. So if you could do any of those things, I greatly appreciate it. If not, don't worry about it. I appreciate you listening. That's great support, and I truly am happy for however many people out there are actually listening to the episode. It really does mean a lot to me, so thank you very, very much. And again, I hope you have an amazing weekend. I can't wait to talk to you all on Monday. Before I go, I just want to say thank you as well to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every episode. And also a quick note, he will be back in Charleston soon for the Holy City Homegrown Festival. You won't want to miss that. There's details on the website, and I will also be talking about it as it gets closer. And I also have to thank Cole Collins with LMC Sound System for producing each and every episode, and Lindsay Collins, who owns that as well. They do an amazing work, and I appreciate them both. Enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Until then, good night and good luck.